What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we are talking the Season 1 finale of Creature Commandos, a very funny monster. Before we get into all of that fun, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
I gotta tell you, I am fan-freaking-tastic. Although my team did not play this weekend, it is my Super Bowl every year to see the Green Bay Packers lose their playoff game. So, I'm sorry, I'm a Bears fan. It's true. I have to.
I don't blame you. I would be the same way.
Yeah, we had a more civil conversation before we started, so we know how we really feel. So, this was a great episode. Can't wait to talk about it. They did stick the landing, in my opinion. Great show. Can't wait to get into it. So, Doug, without any further ado, how are you?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. You are right. Boy, what an episode. Can't wait to talk about it. As far as teams go, I'm just glad they're out there having fun, playing with their ball, using their foot, I assume.
Is this Lance Armstrong?
Oh, man. I was gonna make like an Obi-Wan so uncivilized joke, but then forgot. So there you go.
I know that.
But anyway, Keith, sir, how are you?
Just kidding. I am tremendous, gentlemen. My team may have lost, but I honestly didn't expect them to win. Going into Philly is not an easy thing to do, and they didn't look good. So defense looked good. Offense did not look good. So we got the offseason to fix this. We were the second youngest team to ever make the playoffs, only beaten by the Packers last year to be the youngest team.
I gotta know what that means. I heard you say that a couple of times. What do you mean the youngest team?
They have the youngest average age of their players.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't understand. The Packers have been a team for a very long time. How are they so young?
Yeah, they're the second oldest team, if you look at it that way.
The age of the players.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Got it.
So,
I learned a footballism today.
Yay! So hopefully good things are coming their way. Now that the Packers are out, living in Detroit, a team that has never made the Super Bowl. For all of my friends who are Lions fans, hopefully they make it this year, maybe even win it, and then never win another game again.
Right. That's exactly it. I'm pulling for the Lions for the same reason.
Look, they just want the one. Just let them have the one.
Get the one that I hope you never win a game again.
And
you are 0-17.
Then they can go back to playing the games the way that they used to, where they start every game by discussing with each other what they're going to do after the game. Oh, hey, there goes the ball. Anyway, so do you guys want to go to the bar on 7th or the bar on...
Sounds like Harry Carey. You ever see Harry Carey announce a game? The game was a tangent to him.
Oh, my God.
Will Ferrell's...
We need to license out tangent time to that.
Will Ferrell's Harry Carey was way too good. Hey,
on the nose.
If you were starving and you were a hot dog, would you eat yourself?
Oh, there's a home run.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I was like walking down the street, bases loaded, grand slam, Cubs win, and I saw this little guy. Some people call them midgets, other people.
That's so accurate, too. It's crazy.
He was fun to listen to because you never knew what the heck he was going to talk about next. Usually was not the game going on.
Yeah.
But let's get into it, gentlemen. Let's talk Creature Commandos because we did have, in my opinion, one heck of a season finale. Once again, they were able to work the title into the dialogue of the show, but we won't get into that because it happened late. We got Nina's backstory, which I did not know prior to this. We find out she was born with like the lungs on her outside filled with water. She couldn't breathe. Her dad, who I was going to look up and I totally forgot to see if he was an actual DC character prior.
No.
I
In
didn't
fact,
think so.
this
Good.
is not her comic book background. They invented that for the show because I was curious too. I wanted to look and find out like how close did they get it, but no, this background that they came up with for Creature Commandos, and I assume which will remain canon throughout the rest of the DCU, whatever that may entail. But yeah, completely invented for this. Her original background was she was an adult scientist, genius minded, um, and listed under her powers and abilities, yoga. But she she was apparently one of the for formers, directors, whatever, of the original Creature Commandos group. But she didn't give them any training, and they suffered like immediate trauma from it. So she, I guess, had them shrunk down and put into a zoo. I don't know. I don't remember what that entailed. Some sort of DC thingamabob. So she felt so bad that she created another Creature Commando group and then turned herself into a fish woman so she could join them on the field. I think
Well,
I
I like
kind of
this
like
story.
the backstory they give us in this better.
Yeah, I like this story a lot better. Thank you, James Gunn.
Yeah, more heart. And what's weird about that is like James Gunn is usually all about like the really weird, wacky backstories. We were discussing like way back when, like I want to say episode 1 or 2 or whatever, how he's always so interested in these unknown characters or lesser known characters, and brings to mind Arm Fall Off guy who ended up becoming the detachable kid in the Suicide
Arm
Squad.
Fallout Boy.
So I mean, it's like it's odd for him to have read this story and been like, nah, we're not going to go with that one. I'm going to come up with something better. And I am glad that he did.
And he did, and that back that story was the saddest of all the stories that I thought he showed, even over Weasel.
And she really didn't do anything wrong besides be
No.
living in the wild. I expected her, like when her dad got shot, I expected her to go wild and she attacked a police officer or something like that. She just went in her tank and kind of was gone. And I was like, wow, man.
Well, it does make me wonder, like, how did she wind up in Bel Rev then?
I'm sure it was something where they were like, you know what? We can't keep her in a regular, penitentiary, so we're going to keep her in Belle Reve. And then just because of how she looked, it's like, well, let's just put her on the Creature Commandos. She was the only really thoughtful one, and I think maybe she was there to be their conscience a little bit, which we'll get into later is unfortunate. But we also, I love when things like this happen. They've been building up the whole season. Eric Frankenstein meeting back up with his bride. And what he does, she just shoots him like 4 times and he falls.
Right.
I'm like, thank you. That was
so anticlimactic. Like, we think it's going to be this. I love like when he finally sees her and she's bashing the dude's head into the wall. It's like one of the most gruesome things ever. I swear it looks like a scene right out of Harley Quinn, where you just see like the remains of the face, teeth hanging, and he's just looking at her with so much love, like, still up to your same old tricks.
And right before that, they kind of get into the castle going after the princess, and they see Video trying to, figure out guards and everything, that Clayface was here, which immediately made me go, dang it, Doug was right. So it was, this whole series kind of did that back and forth, kind of up and down thing. You know what? It's like, oh, she's definitely telling the truth. They need to get her. And then, oh no, it was Clayface. And then, oh, well, Clayface came after to throw everybody off and try to save the thing. I was like, way to keep me guessing, way to keep things, fresh and different. They didn't just fall back onto old, cliches or anything. Really just a well-written 7-episode season.
Well, I kept coming back to Cersei, and I kept coming back to what I know about her, and I couldn't find a way that James Gunn would take this well-known character and be like, I'm gonna make her pure evil for the sake of making her pure evil just for this, one show. Like, I can't imagine him doing that. So when we saw her, and the fact that she did not kill any of the Creature Commandos, in fact, she went out of her way to make sure they were, tied up, they wouldn't get in her way, things like that. But she didn't kill them. She could have.
And now, it was a nice little way to show everybody, hey, she's going to be right all along, even though we're going to. I dismissed it, thinking, she was just maybe trying to take over or something along those lines, but it really was just her trying to save the world. Because she, as Star-Lord said in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, because she's one of the idiots that lives there.
Yeah. I keep thinking about the way this show was put together and like the twists and turns that you were talking about. And it made me think of the Peacemaker show. The other James Gunn show. He had some big twists, like when we found out Myrn was a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
And there were still other twists to come, and the big twist was that Clayface was there, but there was even another twist on this show that Keith hasn't got to yet. So I won't say it, but we'll talk about that in a minute. It's just that, like, yeah, okay, I didn't see it coming, but at the same time, you kind of do see it coming.
When it happens, it makes sense, and you think back to the things that have happened in the show, and you're like, should have saw it. Definitely should have saw it. But that's good writing. It's subtle enough that you're not like, sometimes these foreshadowing moments are like, so, hey guys, did you see that part? And you're like, okay, this is going to happen.
Yes, Venom 3, we saw the giant tank of acid. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. But this one just played it off like a regular scene, just kind of going about its business. Didn't, have too many bulbs and lights going off to do it. And it works. I mean, kudos to everyone involved in this show because it was extremely enjoyable. Great start to the DCU, but we're not even done talking about the show. So she puts a couple holes in Eric Frankenstein, and then the princess is going to go swimming for the day, and they're sneaking up on her. They decide, hey, Nina, you got to be the one that's going to kill her. You basically got to get in there and, and she's in the water and kind of underneath her. And it looks like she's like,
I also love how she reiterates before she's finally convinced to do it. I love how she reiterates, I don't know how to. I've never killed anyone before. And it's like, again, it just adds on to what we already said about her backstory for the show, is that she's probably the best one out of the group. She hasn't committed any crime. She really didn't deserve to be in prison with the rest of them.
She really didn't. And she probably didn't know any better. She didn't care if she was in prison after what happened to her dad and the way she was bullied and treated when she was, actually in Star City, which I thought it was nice that she was, from Star City. That was kind of nice.
Right.
I was wondering if Green Arrow was going to show up, but he did not. No Aquaman, no Green Arrow, but they're still hitting all of the major. Not only did she live in Star City, they also mentioned Bloodhaven, which is where Nightwing, works, and then Metropolis in this episode. So it is a well fleshed out universe already. Things are happening, and we've talked a lot about. We know Superman is going to be. He's been Superman for a while. And stuff. Mm-hmm. But the thing that caught me in this episode, too, is when Dr. Phosphorus said, I haven't been touched in 15 years. So that means that the DCU Batman has been active for 15 years or more. Depending on how long he had taken over Rupert Thorne's gang before he got caught.
Right,
but that's a long time. So, they're putting all those things there that, these superheroes, this is a lived-in universe. They've been here for a while. And I just like it.
That's not the worst thing to do either.
No.
I mean, if we can avoid having an origin story for everybody again, which by this point, it's so overplayed.
For characters we're not familiar with, do it like they did in Creature Commandos. Give us a little backstory. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be an origin movie or an origin show. Get on to the other things. And I hope Lanterns follows the same thing. I'm sure it will, where they're not going to introduce us to, I almost called him John Jones, but John Stewart or Hal Jordan, they're just going to be. Guy Gardner will probably get to say he's a Green Lantern. Maybe we'll hear about a little bit of his backstory, but we're not going to get an origin, and that is the right way to do it at this point.
Or, hear me out.
John Jones on Smallville, hit the button. that he just showed up and he was just like, I am the last survivor of my planet. There's a reason for that. Boom, and they don't go into it. That that's enough because you don't need a full background on John Jones. You just need a few minutes because that's just gonna bore people. You can't make it a whole 2-hour movie about him, I don't think. But
I
they
just
did
want to make a
something very-
point that we're talking about John Jones, Martian Manhunter, and not John
yeah,
Bones Jones, the UFC heavyweight champion.
I do not think anybody thought that that's what you were
that
talking
Oh,
about.
good,
Dude.
good,
yeah,
good.
But Dave, to
just
your
didn't want to
point,
confuse
they did something very similar in the Justice League animated series. They had introduced, the Martian Manhunter in the pilot episodes, and they're basically like, "Hey, who are you? Oh, I'm John Jones. You can call me John. I'm from Mars. I'm the last of my species because of racism. Okay, let's go fight these monsters." All right, no further questions. Got it.
They really did. I always wonder when I'm watching shows like that, and they do that, because me having read comics all my life, I'm like, okay, cool. I knew that is. I wonder if, people who haven't read as many comics are like, wait, what? What happened to him and his people? But we did see that, as we talked about last week, Weasel, who had a good time with the princess, she was playing fetch with him and all those things. When Nina was about to do her job, he kind of alerted the princess, and she went Tarantino on Nina, which I was pretty shocked about, man. She was going to town, and I was like, okay.
I was like, that is evil. That is an evil look. She is
Yeah.
not innocent.
Did you see the look on her face, Dave?
Oh yeah, she was just
I mean,
digging.
no emotion, and then she didn't need to multiple stabs. It was like, that threw me off. I was like, oh, okay, that right there. That says everything that I needed to know. Again, the show has been so good about showing us, not, over telling us. And right there, just that look on her face and the multiple stabs. She's a bad guy.
Yeah, they didn't have Nina go in her dying breath. That look, you are truly evil.
Right. Thank you, Acolyte. That was great.
Hey, we should thank the Acolyte. It's making everything seem so much better.
Ooh, you know what? Maybe in the Lanterns we could get an entire 2 episodes dedicated to a flashback.
All right, yeah.
But then we, during that whole thing, Rick Flag Sr. kind of tells Amanda Waller, hey, this is going on. And they go back and they find out, oh, Clayface was impersonating her and she's dead. So they fell for the princess's ruse also. Call up, and, the princess, after killing Nina, kind of captures the Creature Commandos, but is like, oh, I talked to Amanda Waller, there's a big mix up. You're going free, but the bride is a little too smart for that.
Now, Clayface isn't dead, is he?
No.
I didn't think so. It seemed like it's taken a really long time for him to put himself back together. Normally he's quicker than that.
Well,
and so when I saw that he was still like splattered all over the place, it kind of took me by surprise. I was like, oh, he's still there. I'm like, is he alive?
It's still within this universe, that movie that they're coming out with. So he had to make it.
I took it more as he
fair.
made it look like he was dead there. He used some clay to make it look like he was dead, and he slithered off to go about his business with people thinking he's no longer active. But it could be, you could be right, Doug. It's taking him a little while longer to kind of reform and get going again, because that does happen. He's frozen at times, or, gets washed away. It takes him a while to bring his molecules back together. And being electrified could have definitely slowed that process down tremendously.
Okay.
And John's just hilarious, by the way.
Yes. Diebeard.
Yes. Diebeard, yes.
And then, like I said, the bride confronts the princess and basically says, yeah, I know what you did. We saw Clayface. This was all set up. You definitely need to die, but That's not why I'm going to kill you. I'm getting basically revenge for Nina, and just blows her away. I was like,
Right
Expression
before
of
she does
face
that,
change,
they.
Bride was
Oh,
telling her
sorry. Go
something.
ahead, Dave. What was that?
I said, you see the expression on her face change when she realized, the bride was telling her she figured it out.
Mhm.
It went back to that evil face.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
she had that mask on. That oh hey, I'm the happy princess and stuff. I'm carrying Rick Flag Senior's baby.
And of course, right before that, they utter the title of the episode.
You're a very funny monster.
Oh, a scene I forgot that I wanted to mention to guys, and I had a chuckle about it. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but as they were trying to make their way into the castle, and Dr. Phosphorus is burning his way through the wall. Did you see him look at the camera, as in like all of us, to say this is going to take a while? It was almost like he was like, "Go watch more of the flashback. I'm going to be doing this for a little while."
That was awesome. The other part I liked is when the bride called him Ghost Rider because they both
Oh
had
yeah,
flaming
yeah.
that was
skulls.
good.
That cracked me up. Another.
But who?
Go ahead.
Which of you two were the ones that called it last week and said that Weasel would definitely just want to go play with the princess again? Was that you? All right, couldn't remember if it was you or Dave, but totally called it. Totally called it that. Yeah, that's all he wanted to do. And even Nina points out, like, don't you remember? She played with him for like hours. Like, oh, yeah, okay, that tracks. Like immediately, they're like, we're not gonna argue this. Yeah, obviously.
And
He's the dog of the group.
when you see the look on her face and know how well thought out her plan was, she probably did that. She's like, he's the easiest one to bring to my side. If it comes down to it, I need him on my side. If there is going to be a Donnybrook, she was hoping Weasel would join her side because of playing fetch for an hour, where all the others treated him like a pet, or not even a pet, less than a pet, like barely a part of the team. So she was trying to she was trying to dot all of her T's and cross all of her I's, and unfortunately, didn't quite work out for her.
Got with Rick Flag Sr. to make sure she got that out of the way. Played with Weasel. Um, I she tried to get on good terms with with Nina and Doc Phosphorus, but I don't think Doc didn't care. The bride didn't care. Nina may have been on good terms with her, but I think once she saw the whole thing with Cersei, she's like, okay, yeah, this is for the good. And even the bride has to explain to her, look, this is going to save the whole world.
I love Doc Phosphorus when he's like, "Did it sound like I gave a shit?"
Right? Yes, that was
He's been a
great.
good talk. I was really trying to go for it. Yeah.
They had to keep him in character.
And it didn't seem like there was any real negative pushback to the bride. Well, I'm sure she explained, hey, we saw Clayface on a tape. She definitely played us all to try to make her think that wasn't the expert, and Cersei's vision wasn't true. So, basically the universe is saved. The DCU is over. Congratulations. Everyone is saved. Phase 1, Chapter 1 is done. Everyone is saved.
No further from here on out. Nothing further. No further threats. They're all just like rom-coms from here on out.
It's going to be so good.
Hey, Superman, what are you going to do today? Nothing. I'm good.
I'm going to fly around. I can fly, right? It's like the greatest thing ever. Oh, okay. Then we kind of got a look into the future. Maybe, would you say maybe a what's next? With what looks to be the new Creature Commandos for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
We saw King Shark, which was not voiced by Sylvester Stallone.
Too bad.
Yeah, Diedrich Bader, the guy. He was Batman. I think he does Batman and Harley Quinn, but he was King Shark. It still sounded good, and obviously he was much like the King Shark from the Suicide Squad. And then we got Kalis, who is a revived mummy. Nosferatu, or Nosferta. I don't know how to say it, but she's a vampire who tried to take control of the wildlands from Great Caesar at one point in the comics. A new and rebuilt and much larger GI robot reporting for duty. So it'll be interesting to see when we get season 2, but also how that's going to play out. Because, this, as we've talked about many times, this was kind of written before he had taken over DC Studios. So we might get a lot more in-universe stuff, where this honestly could have been a one-and-done series. I don't think we're going to hear about the princess anymore. I don't think, her country is all of a sudden going to become a major player. So it really could have been a one-and-done story that they did just for, animated purposes. But now it is, chapter 1. So we'll probably get Circe some more in the DCU. I hope so. And we'll see where we go from there.
So we've gotten all the way through the show. We've determined that they stuck the landing. I was so happy with it. Just overall, I can't think of any big plot points throughout the whole season there were plot holes, I should say. I can't think of any. It was a pretty complete story.
I agree.
Yeah. Well written. Voice acting was great. I know you weren't as big a fan of the music as I think Doug and I were, but I dug the music. Just a really great start to the DCU. I think it got us into feeling how it's all going to play out and how things are going to be. But, the best thing about the DCU is James Gunn is really letting writers write. He's not too worried about everything kind of having to be a part. Like we did find out, the creative team behind Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man originally wanted it to be a part of the MCU Sacred Timeline. But then when all the rules they had to play by, they were like, we'll do an alternate timeline. We just want to have fun with this. So, it seems like it's a little more free to the writers and creators to kind of do what they want. And, there'll be a story, team ups and big bads and stuff down the line. But it's going to be more like the comics, where there are team ups occasionally, but there's also just regular stories that go on that maybe not connect everything. And, neither one's right or wrong. They both are what they are. I was always fired up for the DCU just because I'm a big James Gunn fan, but I think this really cemented that we're in good hands.
Well, I think the direction that he's taken it in is it's like a breath of fresh air. I think a lot of people that have been talking about superhero fatigue or kind of tired of the repetition of the MCU and the kind of drop off in quality, it's going to be nice to have something a little bit different. And the fact that, James Gunn is almost acting like quality control over everything to ensure that it's going to, if he's putting his name on it, he's going to make sure that the script is done. We're not going to announce it until we have a script and it's good to go. And also, we're going to make sure that it fits within the universe and that it's fun. People are going to like this. And I think that's going to be the overall theme for the DCU. It's just going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, I like, I really like how the MCU, everything flows into the next thing. I like that, how it goes. DC doesn't have to do that. I could think of 3 different universes they're in right now with the Batman, the DCU, which we just saw, and then there's like the Harley Quinn shows, Harley Quinn and Kite Man. That's all separate too. As long as it's a good story, then I like it. I don't like the multiverse thing, so if they're going to blend these universes, me, I don't like the multiverse thing. So if they don't blend these universes, that's cool. That'll be all right, because whatever happens in the Batman story is going to stay in the Batman story with the Penguin and that show. I've heard rumors that they're going to do a season 2. I hope not. I think it was a perfect story and they should just leave it. But, you never know. But that'll be contained within that universe, and it won't affect the other universe.
Just to go into tangent time for a minute, based on what you said, there were reports earlier that James Gunn wanted Robert Pattinson to be the DCU Batman. Those have seemingly been debunked now.
It's good.
And they are going to get their own Batman, and it's going to be separate. And I agree with you, Dave. I'm not a hater of the multiverse. Don't get me wrong, but we've just went through a whole bunch of multiversal shenanigans in the MCU. They don't need to do it in the DCU.
Mm-hmm.
They can, if they want to do it, they can wait. Get this away from our collective minds. It's been done. Hasn't been done great. So you have so many other stories you can tell for DC Comics and the DCU. Don't go down the multiversal line. It's not needed.
I mean, prior to James Gunn, fully taking control of the DCU, DC did try on two different fronts. Primary DC. I'm not talking about the CW DC stuff, but Warner DC did try on two different fronts with their Flashpoint movie. Attempted it there, didn't quite work out. But then the also their new animated movies, The Crisis on Infinite Earths, they were also trying to do a multiverse story there. So like, okay, if the live action multiverse stuff doesn't take off, we got animation. Both failed miserably.
Yeah, The Crisis on Infinite Earths, 3-part animated series, which was just a few years after the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's like, man, just drop it. Dear God, please don't do that again.
It was so bad. I did. I gave it a try, but
I got through it, but it was not in one sitting. I wasn't like sitting. I was looking at my phone and like, oh, I walked upstairs and forgot to pause it. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'll be all right.
I'd miss it.
Yeah, I barely made it through the first one, and I remember you guys said, "Go ahead and watch the second one. It picks up," but I never did. I couldn't get myself to go back and watch it.
The second one was better than the first, but man, it didn't. It picked up a bit, but it was still.
It wasn't great. It all ended with everybody just shooting colorful beams at each other. It was like the writers just stopped caring. We're like, whatever.
Do you think we should try to make a better ending? Nobody's watching it anyway.
No, just making a big Pokemon battle. Who cares?
And by the way, speaking of The Flash, we were talking about the movie that nobody cared about. Did you see the director said, I really think that movie failed because nobody really cares about Barry Allen as a character.
No.
That movie failed because it was terrible.
It was terrible, and you had a criminal for your main lead.
Wow, he didn't get it.
Nope,
wow.
Sure didn't. And if he's really directing Batman the Brave and the Bold for the DCU, please find somebody else. I do not want him directing a Batman movie.
That's wow. It's a weird take.
He got roasted online. Everyone was like,
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that was the reason why. And of course, with it failing, I'm sure it's going to be tough to get another Flash movie or the character up and running in the DCU anytime soon because, they're probably going to hesitate to do it because they're like, that Flash movie bombed. We shouldn't do it. Now, on the bright side, we probably won't get Black Adam anytime soon in the DCU too, but hey, that's okay. I like Black Adam as a character. I hope he does show up. He kind of joined the Justice Society and was a nemesis to him. So many good stories that they could do. Stay away from the DCU. But, like I said, we got the new team. We're probably going to get a new mission for season 2. Probably going to be intertwined a little bit more in whatever the gods and monsters type thing is that we're going to be getting. So, man, I can't wait to see it. I think, James Gunn did say that there's going to be like a big mystery sort of hinted at in Lanterns, and that'll be like kind of the main story for Phase 1 once again, or Chapter 1. Once again, not everything has to touch on it or be a part of it, but it's going to be kind of the big thing that probably ends up leading up into a big team up, probably Justice League, something along those lines. But I wonder if he'll be able to explore that a little bit more in the second season of Creature Commandos. He can, use the lighter budget of an animated series to kind of get into some of all of that with, a few. And he obviously isn't shy about killing characters.
Right. I gotta say, if there's anything negative that I could say about this episode, and it's There's not much. I would say the fact that they didn't give us enough time to deal with the fact that Nina is dead. She's not coming back.
You mean her floating to the surface wasn't enough time?
No, because they made me like her character too much to just, like, stab her to death and, all right, next scene.
You know what I was thinking when she floated to the top? I was thinking, would she float to the top? What makes you float to the top is the oxygen in your lungs. And since she can't breathe oxygen, would she float to the top?
Well, don't fish float to the top when they're dead?
They do. And they just get the oxygen out of the water. They still breathe oxygen. They just can't breathe it out of the air. They need water. They suck in the oxygen from the water where we suck in the oxygen from the air. So I think she would still float to the top. See, I was thinking the Pixies song, "What's that floating in the water? Old Neptune's only daughter." Doom, doom. We had to get a musical thing there, so I had to throw that in. But see, I kind of took, the bride getting revenge for her at the end is kind of like that. Okay, she kind of died. They didn't dwell on it too much, but they did say, "I'm doing this for Nina. I don't care that you're going to destroy the, Earth or anything else. This is for Nina." And that kind of felt a little bit like closure to me. Like, okay, they got revenge for her, basically. They did what was needed. They did the right thing for the wrong reasons, which is probably what the Creature Commandos should do.
I still don't feel good about it.
Oh, I'm still sad about it. I mean, she was the nicest, most thoughtful character on the show, so I should have known she'd be the one who gets, 50 knife slashes in the belly to...
Right. God.
Practically chopped her in half.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, going with her sad backstory and all the things that happened there, to see it end up like that was tough. It was a tough watch, and they did it right. They didn't overdo it. They hit all the right feels, and just a darn good episode. And we got G.I. Robot back.
And we did.
We did.
Wonder if he's been reprogrammed to encompass more than just Nazis.
Well, hopefully in season 2, when he finds out what happened to his best friend Nina, hopefully, he kills a few extra Nazis just for her.
You know what? Let's hope so. They'll send him over to that country and be like, "These were the Nazis that killed Nina. Die, Nazis!"
Oh boy!
All right, here we go.
It's good to be doing my programming once again.
Oh boy, here I go killing again.
Crumbobulous Michael.
Should I play the Rick and Morty theme?
Do it.
There's no lyrics for me to, mouth here, but
That Rick and Morty thing always makes me think of Doctor Who, though.
really,
Their themes are very similar, I think. You don't think so?
I'll have to listen to Doctor Who's again. It's been a little while, but maybe. But should we rate this episode, gentlemen?
I think so.
I think we should. Are we going to go traditional this week, or are we starting with somebody else?
Let's go traditional this week.
Okay. For this episode, I will rate, and then I will also rate the series. This episode was very emotional one. It was an emotional roller coaster if you like the characters. Nina's backstory was so nice. That her dad was so good to her, and he tried to integrate her into society, and he really took care of her, and like a good superhero father does. They're the inspiration usually for whatever they do in the in their superhero dumb or whatever. And to see her on the team and be the one that gets chopped up at the end, like Keith said, it hit you right in the right kind of feels. It was not, I wouldn't say a fitting end, but you kind of saw it, coming, like not in a predictable way, but because she was the nicest one. Of course she was going to bite it, like Doug said.
Hmm.
So, and the way that the bride figured it out by watching that tape, like Phosphorus, when they're watching the tape, he's like, "What the hell is that?" You know, it was kind of funny. And then they don't show you the rest of it, so that it's enough for you to remember the scene where he said that, but not enough to make you think, what did he really see? But when she brings it back around and says, "Here's what I saw, and I know it was you," brilliant, beautiful writing.
Mhm.
So for this episode, I'm going to give it an 8.5, and for the overall season, I think I'm going to give it an 8. It was excellent work, a great start to the DCU.
I loved this episode. I've loved pretty much all of Creature Commandos, save for like a few moments here and there where it was like a little bit boring. But this episode was fantastic. Not a look at the phone moment at all. As Dave put it, very emotional. I shed a very manly tear. I mean, obviously my allergies were acting up. I was also cutting onions at the same time. But, perhaps my emotions may have just a single tear, just like the bride did. But yeah, I mean, wow. Way too. I think this backstory for Nina that they gave us. Not only am I glad that James Gunn, took the opportunity to switch it up, give us something different that was in the comics. This was done better, in my opinion, than the backstory they gave Doc Phosphorus. I felt that he was underdone. They didn't give him a good enough backstory, and so, or they didn't spend enough time on it. I'm glad that they did with Nina because, boy, did it make her death even more heart wrenching. Just like knowing how her dad was the only one who truly cared about her, and he died trying to save her one last time, and then that's how she goes out. It was just sad. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of good, funny moments in this. I love uh, Eric showing up and like, ah, there she is. She hasn't changed a bit as she's bashing a dude's face into the bricks. I'm laughing so hard at that. I love that she's able to figure it out. And I also love that it wraps everything up with Amanda Waller. It's almost like she's had a character arc. It's herself too. She recognizes the bride's leadership abilities. She, is in her own way, as it was put, it's her way of saying thank you. She gives them their own section of Belle and gives her own team, basically saying, "You're in now a leadership role. You're going to be leading them on missions going forward. I don't have to, give you Rick Flag Sr. I trust you to do this stuff. And also here are your new team members." I am glad that we got GI Robot back, but I kind of wish that I almost wish that he had been rebuilt prior to this episode or prior to this mission. And I will say that, again, I think the only thing that I didn't like about this episode is it felt rushed. It felt very short. It didn't feel like they gave everything enough time, save for Nina's backstory, which I think that was perfect. But the rest of the episode, it felt almost unceremonious the way that Nina was killed and then they just kind of moved on. And yes, while I do agree, I am glad that the bride did sort of get vengeance for all of us who, were broken up by that. Again, it felt so almost like they had limited time to get the rest of the episode done. But overall, good episode, amazing series. I am so happy that it got renewed for season 2. I'm going to give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. I'm going to
Wow.
give this season overall a 9 out of 10.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much said everything. I thought this was a well written, well voice acted, great animation. I enjoyed all the music, all the little things that were done, which when you see as a whole makes so much more sense. As weird as I thought her hitting on Rick Flag was and, kind of forcing herself on him and kind of, that was at the beginning, it was all part of her plan. Her playing fetch with, Weasel It was all part of her plan. She was diabolical in her planning. And I know I'm kind of talking about the whole series at this point, but that's how this episode went too. You know, it all just kind of falls into place. It all is just things you've seen. You're like, yep, okay, that's why it happened. It wasn't something where all of a sudden it was like, whoa, why that? They had none of those moments where they just got written into a corner and had to do something else. And I think James Gunn does the best job writing a series like this with keeping everything in, mind when he's finishing up the whole series. I got to do certain things. I loved the fact that they took a character backstory, be so sad, you feel so much for her, and then you see her like finally like, okay, I got to do this is the right thing to do, and then paying the ultimate price. It really made all of us Nina stans on this season be like, oh man, what a rough ending, knowing that season 2 we're probably going to see a lot less good monsters, we'll say, and a lot more like the bride and everything else. So it's going to be different. But overall, for this episode, I'm going to give this episode a 9.2. Thought it was great. Thought it was well executed. And I'm going to give the entire season a 9.3. I really think, especially rewatching most of the episodes before this last one, just seeing how everything works together. And when you see it as a whole, when you know the ending and you see things going on, it was just all perfectly planned out. And you can't ask for more than that in a first season. And the fact that they said, you know what, the story takes about 7 episodes, so that's all you're getting, just made me love it even more. They did the right thing. We didn't get any filler episodes. We didn't get anything that felt out of place. It was one coherent story, and I loved it. Now, if anyone out in the chat...
We haven't even talked about the post-credit scene.
Oh, yeah. Before we get into that, though, we do have a comment from Hunter Iggy. You have to choose one of the 2 females to have a child with, the bride or Nasta Ferda. I don't know if either one could have a child. They're both undead. But I guess if we're going to do this, definitely the bride, just to make Eric mad.
Oh, God. Yeah, and him chase you down all over the world.
Just tear you apart limb from limb.
He's got a giant battle axe. I just want to talk. No, you don't.
You're lying.
Now, all right. So, who was that lady he was with? Didn't he kill the lady he was in the woods with?
I think that was just going back to it was either another flashback to that past scene, or he just found another old lady in whatever the name of that country is.
Yeah, I think it was just another old lady who, like a gypsy lady in that country, who was like, "Oh yeah, so I'll get you back to health. I used to have a friend."
Give you bird poop soup.
It was very Guardians of the Galaxy 3 post scene.
Yeah.
That would have been funny if you brought up a lawnmower or something.
Well, and I was laughing because when we got that before credit scene of her, accepting the head of the Creature Commandos, basically, what else do I got to do? And seeing them all, I'm like, oh, is that what they consider a post-credit scene? And I'm watching and I'm watching and I'm like, oh, yay! That poor gypsy lady has no idea what's going to happen to her once Eric is healthy again. It keeps happening. He's going to run out of old gypsy ladies to, nurse him back to health.
Right. So that's going to be a new stat that's G. Gordon Godfrey's like, a huge decline in old gypsy ladies. We don't seem to know why. They all seem to be dying by blunt force trauma.
It seems their last meal was always soup.
Now, we have some...
Do we have some news?
Potential news, rumors, things we like to talk about.
Is this rumor mill rundown?
Rumor mill rundown. I think these are, once again, it's all been Ahsoka is about to go into production. And we heard today that Ewan McGregor is going to be in season 2, along with Ariana Greenblatt playing a young Ahsoka. It sounds to me, gentlemen, like we are going to get another Clone Wars flashback, but it isn't going to be just Anakin and Ahsoka. We're going to get Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka.
Nice.
We're going
Okay.
to get a live action Clone Wars, which is
That'd
pretty
be cool. That would be cool. Now, the one thing that I would be concerned about is it seems like a lot of the shows, I'm going to say all of the Star Wars shows except for Skeleton Crew and Andor seem very reliant on, hey, these people, you remember these people? We're going to show you these people. And it's getting a bit disappointing that if that's all they have to fall back on. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to see live action Clone Wars as much as the next nerd, but if that's the substance of your show, if that's like the main thing you're going to keep falling back on, I'm sorry, guys. You got to try something else.
I'm hoping
I
that's
feel like
not
that
it.
might be a bigger story than it actually turns out to be. It might be a couple episodes because when we heard Anakin was going to be on, what was it? 2 episodes he was on, really? They were the best episodes, really. But
Well,
maybe that's
because
all
it
they're
really
doing.
it really tied into the story quite well. It really
Yeah.
made sense where it was put, and let's hope that they're doing this because it ties into the story. I gotta trust Dave Filoni. He's writing it. I hope he found something. He's like, oh, we can do this and show flashbacks to kind of tie into it and make it all make sense and not just be. You guys know that flashback scene got a lot of social media hits. Let's do another one. Well, it doesn't really make sense that let's do another one. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope it's because they had something to write about, not just that. But Doug, sometimes when I hear this stuff, the cynic in me says the same thing. It's just like when Morbius came back to theaters. Sorry, Dave. When Morbius came back to theaters because everyone
memed the hell out of it.
yeah,
Out of it.
and they were like, "Oh my God, it's trending. Morbius is trending. Let's bring it back to theaters." And it made like
It
$13.
really is Morbin time.
Yeah. And they're not looking at it like, "Oh my God, the live action Clone Wars was trending after that Ahsoka. Let's bring more."
So, the most interesting story from Ahsoka season 2 is going to be the Balan Skull story, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I've always been. To me, he was more compelling of a character, and I know this is sacrilege to say, Star Wars nerds, sorry, but I thought his story was more compelling than Thrawn.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Thrawn was fine. It was fine. It was good to see him in live action. Good to, that they brought his voice actor to be the live action Thrawn. That was cool. But he just, I don't know. He seemed underwhelming in Ahsoka. Like the hype wasn't there for me.
You're not wrong. I think they used this story to get Thrawn back to the main universe. And
Yeah.
it kind of showed. I still, Lars Mikkelsen did a good job. It wasn't anything with the actor or anything else, but it was a little bit underwhelming. And maybe it's because, as soon as, Baylan Skoll was like, oh, we'll have power that you can't imagine. So he had a separate plan. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, let's talk more about that.
I want to follow that guy instead. Let's go see what he's up to.
Yeah. And so I really hope, Ahsoka season 2 with her in that other galaxy focuses more on, the father and, what Baylan Skoll's doing. And they can have another show, whatever it could be, dealing with Thrawn in this part of the galaxy or make it part of the Mandalorian and Grogu in the movies that are coming or whatever. But man, and I hope, the Hound can do a good job, as Baylan Skoll to really make that worthwhile, because that was the most interesting part, especially when you see him standing on a statue and it's like,
Yeah. Very cool ending for that character for that season. Very cool.
I will chuckle if I will chuckle if somehow Ezra managed to live through the sequel movies, and he's just an Obi-Wan character in that timeline now.
That would be. We got another question from Hunter Iggy. What happened to Frankenstein family? Are they alive after all these years? They are not. Dr. Frankenstein and his whole family are no longer around.
It's Frankenstein.
Oh, sorry. That sounds like a young Frankenstein.
I do have to ask. At one point when she's, looking at the books and the bride is looking at the books, she pulls out the one that says Mary Shelley. So is that saying that in this universe, even though Frankenstein and his bride are real, Mary Shelley still wrote the Frankenstein story?
It was just nonfiction instead of fiction in this universe.
It's a biography,
yes.
A history of it.
Here's how I did it.
Much like obviously having Marvel Comics in the DC universe, because calling them Ghost Rider means they must know about it. So Marvel Comics is fiction, where DC Comics is nonfiction.
That's why DC Comics has all the fake city names.
Yep, that's right.
Fake city names, fake country names.
It's hard to keep
up.
Yeah. Now, there's one other little bit of news, not associated with Ahsoka or Star Wars in any way.
Okay.
The rumor is we are getting the Daredevil Born Again trailer tomorrow.
That would be nice. Hopefully that's true.
What is it, on Monday Night Football?
That's what I'm thinking. They'll show a couple scenes of it and say, go to YouTube now and check out the Daredevil Born Again trailer. And it has set, Daredevil Born Again has set a record for the MCU. The least amount of time between the release of the first trailer and when the show drops.
Not
a good record.
Why did they wait so long? Has there been any word on why?
Nothing that they've said. Obviously, they showed the trailer at D23 for all the people there and never released it. And I figured it'd be coming soon after that, and they just keep waiting and waiting. Maybe they're just, we got.
I wonder are they afraid that it would spark too many rumors, people coming up with too many theories, and because that's the only thing I can think of that would maybe dissuade them from doing it. Maybe they were afraid that it would lead to, more of what happened during WandaVision, where you had all these people like, oh, it'd be really amazing if that happened, and people at Marvel like, shit, yeah, that would have been cool. Why didn't we do that?
Yeah, maybe they changed the script so many times. Or maybe they don't want you to know who actually made it to the show, like what other characters they're bringing back.
It could be. I have heard that the Punisher is supposed to be in it, so...
Yes,
he's in it.
Hopefully he gets his own show after, too.
And that is the rumor, that he's getting a show, too, which, please do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you get a casting that well,
right? John Bernthal is perfect
for it. Yeah.
Charlie Cox.
Basically, is there a person on that show that isn't perfectly cast?
I can't think of one. I mean, it was perfect casting for Wilson Fisk. It was perfect casting for Daredevil.
If they bring back Danny Rand, we might have something to say. But
might have a problem.
Yeah. That was a fever dream. It didn't really happen.
Perfect casting for Bullseye, who's supposed to be on this season.
Oh, awesome.
We don't know about Muse and White Tiger and a few others, but I mean, it's so odd to me that they did such a amazing job on Daredevil and then dropped the ball so incredibly hard on Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been rumors that Kristen Ritter is showing up in season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. And then that maybe Mike Coulter will be showing up as, Luke Cage. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, I liked Mike Coulter as Luke Cage. The show had some issues. We got 1 season out of 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But Danny Rand,
so
we're good.
Back when friend of the channel Carrie was defending it so hard, I did go back and read some Iron Fist comics, and I will say, as bad as that show was, he did get the character of Danny Rand pretty spot on. Like, he does come off as kind of an aloof, hippie-like character.
Yes, but his fight scenes looked atrocious.
Oh yeah, they were so bad.
Saying he is like a master of kung fu, or
Yeah, no, it looked really bad. You can tell like he did no practice, and I don't know if they put a whole lot of thought in his stunt actor either.
yeah, yeah. I definitely didn't have a problem with him acting as Danny Rand. It was the fight scenes, and the writing on that season wasn't so great.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm a huge
for some reason, Jessica Henwick is popping into my head as coming back as well. Is that not a thing?
It's been rumored too. Because remember, she did get the Iron Fist at the end of season 2. So
She did. And I wouldn't object to that. I thought she was another good casting.
Yep, definitely was. Oh, another question from her. Nina asked the bride the Frankenstein family are up the road before they enter the house. She did say they lived up the road.
Season or episode 1 or 2 or something.
Yeah, she did say they lived up the road. I don't think she said they were still there, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch to verify.
Well, that won't be painful to do.
You're right. Oh,
no, this is something I would definitely watch again in a heartbeat.
Darn it!
Gotta
watch it. Now I probably wouldn't watch Skeleton Crew again, but I would watch Creature Commandos again.
I will watch Skeleton Crew again because Sully said he wants to watch it with me, but we'll see how it goes. Skeleton Crew's fine.
Fine.
It's good.
There's so much else going on. I don't know if I go back and watch it.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. This isn't something where I'm like, yeah, I got to see this again. Like, I want to watch Peacemaker season 2 again. I want to watch Creature Commandos season 1 again. I definitely want to watch The Acolyte again. Oh, wait, no.
He outed himself.
Somebody take his temperature.
But if I can find the time, I definitely want to watch the first 3 seasons of Daredevil again. I just don't know if I'll be able to find said time. But, we'll see. So much to watch and so much to do that, it takes a really good show to be like, I'm definitely watching that again. I think Peacemaker season 1 is the same way. I definitely am going to find time to watch that before Superman and Peacemaker season 2.
Oh yeah, there is a lot of stuff that I do want to go back and watch. I did watch through a few scenes, not entire episodes, a few scenes of Ahsoka. Okay, I'll be honest. I watched all the scenes with Balin in Ahsoka, so yeah, I basically rewatched the whole season.
And I know you said this on social media today or yesterday, but the hallway scene with Balin is so perfectly executed.
So perfect. I just hope that this new actor is able to, give off the same sort of is bravado the right word? Confidence.
Gravitas?
Gravitas, yes, gravitas. That's what I'm looking for. Because the way he carried himself, playing Balin Skull was phenomenal. He just so good. So darn good.
We have no reason to think that Rory can't handle it either, because he was fantastic in Game of Thrones. I wouldn't have thought about him. Obviously, I thought Liev Schreiber first, but I thought, but I wouldn't have thought of him. But when they mentioned it, yeah, great choice.
Yeah, it fits. Like the more I was thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that's actually perfect, because the way that they were describing like what Balin's character is supposed to be like, trying to compare him to sort of like an early, British tribal swordsman or Nordic swordsman or whatever, and they compared his lightsaber to be like carrying a great sword, and when he swings down, he's swinging it down with force. So he's not so much trying to cut people in half. He's trying to like knock them down with how heavy his lightsaber is. And yeah, getting the guy who played the Hound, who also carried around a giant greatsword. I mean, perfect casting.
I remember when I read the tweet and it said Rory McCann, cast as Balin Skull in Star Wars Ahsoka season 2, and I'm like, who is Rory McCann? So I go to the story and I see him. I'm like, oh, the Hound. I'm like, so good, because I think most people had Liv Schreiber or other people. I didn't.
Or George Clooney.
Yeah,
No, nobody had that.
Ben Affleck.
But you guys, he had that beard that one time.
Yeah. I didn't hear anyone mentioning Rory McCann, and so they did a good job. Didn't listen to the fan casting and just went out and find someone that can hopefully take on that role. And hopefully they realize that you can recast people in these things and people will understand it. You just write a good show, do your job, make it a good story, good actors, and it'll all come together.
Dude, when you said Rory, the first person I thought of was Rory Cochrane from he was the guy in Dazed and Confused who was always high. He had the long hair and the hat on. I was like, wait, that doesn't fit, man.
They're really stretching here, man.
Right.
That's not gonna work out. I hope he gains some weight.
He just spends the entire show like just lighting up blunts with his lightsaber.
Like, the founding fathers, man. Yoda was always high, man.
The Force is kind of like in us; it surrounds us, and
Gotta meet you for some business, man. You know what I'm talking about?
I still say that the Acolyte would have been better if they would have went with my version of Yoda.
Was you doing Yoda?
No, just like a super dope bro Yoda who doesn't follow the rules and skateboards into the Jedi Council Hall like, "What's up?" Ah!
He had 900 years to get that wise. You gotta have some rebellion.
Exactly.
1,000 years ago, he probably was a rebel. I mean, more than a rebel.
Right. What's up, Jedi? Lost my lightsaber again. Get me a new one.
It's got to be little, because I'm a little dude. I'm not like 6 foot like these suckers over here, but I'm twice the power of the Force in these guys. Suckers. You don't even know what race I am.
Right, yeah, there you go.
Someone bring Yaddy over here. We need a female Yoda. Yeah.
All right, baby. Here we go. We're going to keep the species alive.
Are you referring to your name as the name of your species? Do you know any other Yodas?
I'm one of a kind, baby.
I bet if there's ever a show with a little one of my species, they'll call it Baby Yoda. You're so full of yourself. You're not going to be a Jedi Master.
And if you play your cards right, you can be full of me too.
All right. Giggity.
Yoda out.
My God.
No backwards camps in the Jedi Hall, and pick up your lightsaber.
I'm not picking up after you again, Yoda. Well, cool. Hopefully we get that Daredevil trailer. Hopefully we get some more news. It is like 32 days till Captain America Brave New World.
Mm-hmm.
It is 100 days until Andor Season 2. But we have a few.
It's got to be, 80-something days till Born Again. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. And we got
let's see, we've got Skeleton Crew, the last episode this coming. We're going to be streaming about that on Thursday, right?
You are correct, sir.
Okay.
And then we're taking next Sunday off. Gonna have a little breather. Then we're gonna come back and we're going to do, is it Darwin's Game?
Yes.
We're gonna be talking a little Darwin's Game. We also have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man coming up, and we do get a 2-episode premiere on the 29th, and there will be 10 episodes in season 1, so we'll be talking about that while we're also talking about is it Darwin's Game? I forget the name.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Darwin's Game.
Yeah. So doing a little bit of anime before the other stuff starts bombarding us again.
Yep.
Oh, don't forget, February 6th starts Invincible.
Right.
Ooh, that's right. And January 16th is Harley Quinn Season 2, which is coming up this week, which I totally forgot about. We got a lot going on.
So, actually, are we going to even have time to do Darwin's Game?
Well, it's 13 episodes. I think we could squeak it in if we step it up a little bit.
Yeah, we should be able to do it. Well, one episode of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man probably won't take too long to talk about while we're on the thing. My USB device is not recognized. Interesting. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, very fine.
I don't know what USB device
Hopefully you aren't muted out there in the YouTube.
Out there in the outer
No,
world.
I can see an OBS when I talk. It's coming through the mic. Interesting.
Okay, well, weird.
But yeah, we'll
Muted
have
off.
one episode of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man for the most part, and we can do one episode of that and a couple episodes of Darwin's Game. I'll work on our schedule to figure out 13 episodes of that, and we got Brave New World coming out. We got Daredevil at the beginning of March, which is in about a month and a half. So then we got Thunderbolts in May, and then Fantastic Four in July, Superman in July.
I am really looking forward to Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I'm hoping
I'm
this
looking
is
forward to
a good year for the MCU. Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four First Steps. And hopefully in a few weeks we'll have the first Fantastic Four trailer. They're still talking that it could possibly be during the Super Bowl. So, we'll have our Monday post-Super Bowl stream talking about hopefully all the things.
Lions winning.
The Lions winning. And maybe another Superman thing. They talked, James Gunn is going to be on the Puppy Bowl with an exclusive look at Superman. And then maybe Fantastic Four, who knows what else, but it's on Fox. If it was on ABC, we'd probably get Daredevil and stuff too, but a lot of great stuff coming out. So, hey, let's find somebody to raid on Twitch.
All right, Twitch.
Who is this Farrah Lady?
Oh, Slayas is gone.
Yep, she ended her stream about halfway through ours. But anyway, this person is playing Marvel Rivals. Do you have them on your list, Keith?
Yeah.
All right.
Feraliti. Yeah, let's
I don't
do
remember
that.
who this is.
I don't either.
All right.
There it is, folks.
And for those of you out there watching us on YouTube, once again, as we say pretty much all the time, what we're getting ready to do is raid another channel on Twitch. Something that we can do on Twitch to basically take all of our followers, all of you who are kind enough to watch us on Twitch, and kind of share the love and take the party to somebody else who's streaming live. But if you are watching us on YouTube and you liked what you saw, you're enjoying it, hit the like, give us a subscribe, and definitely tell your friends about it.
And we will be back on Thursday to talk to Skeleton Crew season finale. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you then.
Hey, fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.